The Fox Experiment. This is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe. Today we'll be going over the Fox Experiment and how it plays with 2 players. Now the Fox Experiment is a competitive 1 to 4 player game where you will be breeding foxes, coming up with some new traits for the pups that are born, scoring different studies, trying to have the friendliest foxes, and by the end of the game have the most points. So let's see a little bit more how to play. So at the beginning of the game, everybody's going to get their blank upgrade board. These will be upgrades throughout the game that you can do. However, to start each turn, you get to select one of 3 actions. Select a female fox, select a male fox, or put your round marker on the spaces above so you can choose if you want to go early next round. And that may be very important because on your turn, you only get to do one of those 3 actions. Then it goes to the next player's turn depending on the turn marker, and then you'll get to go again. So if you really want that certain fox trait, you better snag it up quick because it may not be there by the time it comes around again. Then you go into the breeding phase where you will select a male and a female fox to breed, which means you're going to gather all the dice you have plus any friendly dice and all the dice shown on the fox cards. You're going to roll them and you're going to make these you're going to try to make full shapes. There's 4 different shapes and they correspond to, tail, ear, barking, and spots. Just different colors on the dice. But you're trying to make full shapes so you can mark in when you make these new pups. You're actually going to mark on the card how many of the full shapes that you've done. These also try to correspond with some of the studies, which are in the next kind of phase where you'll do the research, try to determine how was the fox have desirable traits that you want. This is another way to score points. And then you go into the cleanup phase and you get to do it again. But the cleanup phase, the pup that you made is going to go back into the tableau or the row that you can choose from. So you may not get the fox that you bred in the next round. So you're going to have overall, you're going to select the male, female foxes, put out your gear, breed the foxes, get 1 or 2 more pups depending on the, any extra upgrades you may have. And then mark that, do a little bit of research, and then you're going to put them back into the row, refill the row, and start again. Whoever checked in the most boxes for the turn is the friendliest fox, will get awards at the end of the turn. And the only other thing is the upgrade track. The more boxes you fill in, the more of these tokens you're going to get. And the tokens allow you to upgrade the foxes, whether it be make multiple pups in a turn, get more research, try to research more and score more points. Roll more friendly dices, the green. The greens are wild dices. Any wild symbol it really helps out the foxes. Or try to get an administrative action that'll really help you on in-game scoring. And after 5 rounds, whoever has the most points wins. So let's see a little bit more what I thought about the game. So the components in this game are really neat, very sprawling for sure, but just being able to roll a ton of dice is a lot of fun. Using the tokens, we did get the upgraded tokens and the upgraded dice, which are kind of nice, and the neoprene mats. The base game is going to come with the basic cardboard punchies and mat. The rules and references, the rules really weren't that bad, and then once you get the hang of it, like most games, very easy. References, very easy to understand. I know it was kind of complicated, my explanation, but really once you get into the groove, really not that bad as far as rules and references go. Setup and table size. Setup is going to take you a little bit. There are just a lot of just different components here and there. It doesn't seem like it would, but by the end of the game, table size, we're talking about a pretty sprawling game. This game is going to just take up a ton of space. You just need a lot of space for this game. It's taking up a majority of our table, and this is just for 2, so this is kind of a table hog. So now let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is kind of an interesting loop. You're going to pick the foxes you want that correspond with your study. So you can, you may only get to roll a certain amount of dice, or you may pick a fox because you get to roll a lot of dice and try to get more tokens. And by the end of the game, sometimes the upgrades can get you a lot of points. Deciding when, do you want to make more pups every turn, which just means your dice mitigation is a lot lowered. Some of these dice are only going to have a half symbol on them. Some of them are going to have 1.5 symbols on them, which are full symbols that you can go through for your pups. Remember, the more you fill out, the friendlier you are, and this is how you can get a majority of the points out here is winning these. Oh, I made the friendliest pup this turn, but you have to be careful because if the other person goes quicker on the next turn, they can snag that one up if it kind of jives with what they're doing. And the gameplay loop is pretty interesting. It has quite a bit of simultaneous play. The selection phase, where you're going to choose the pups, is probably the only thing that's not simultaneous. The rest of it is, getting your male and female, gathering your dice, rolling your dice, and the other players can do the exact same thing. You don't need to, monitor, or nothing is going to affect what they're going to do. And mark in your little pips, name your pup, decide the friendliness level, start getting the tokens. It's all kind of simultaneous. You have your own little player board. The player interaction in this game is probably on the lower end, but it's going to be neat when you make a really big pup that's going to roll 8 dice on the turn. And you're wondering if you can get that, if you made a mistake by going later in the round. So the gameplay loop is very interesting. I am going to say, the replayability may be a little bit lower because there's not too much variable setup. A lot of the replayability is just going to be who you're playing with, what kind of foxes, what extra cards do you draw, and what do you really want to go for the game. So is this game good for 2? And it is a neat game for 2. It is unique. We've had a good time. When you play with 2, there is a solo automa that you need to play with, which actually expands it to kind of 4 players. It's going to take 2 female pups, 2 male pups, and going to take a couple of these track spaces that you may want. It's not going to score. It's pretty quick, especially. It really doesn't take much time. It's going to add some dice to the pups to simulate, them also progressing some of these wolves and some of these pups out here. So when you do breed them, you're going to roll a decent amount of dice, and they may be different, but they're going to be the AI's kind of decision. But for 2, definitely pretty neat. Once again, the replayability for this game is a little bit on the low side. My wife and I like to play a lot of games back to back of the same game because it takes a little while to get a game out. And we just finished our 3rd game, and I'm already at the fatigue of what's new in this game, what's different in this game. There's not a lot of variable setup. The upgrades kind of stay the same. There's just not a whole bunch of replayability to me, but overall, this is a really good game. If you get a chance to play it, maybe a couple times, that would be great. Is it going to be a permanent mainstay of one we'll grab super often? Maybe not, but the theme is there. It's a lot of theme. The gameplay loop is really neat, really interesting. Everything is there that ticks the boxes for this game, except probably the replayability. So a Fox Experiment, a very good game, a good game for 2, even though I could see this game being better at probably the 4-player count, or even the 5 or 6 if you have the extra expansion. But very good game. It may be barred a little bit by the replayability. So hope you guys have a great day, and until next time.